بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين نحمده ونشكره على هدايته ونصلي ونسلم على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين وصحبه المنتجبين. اللهم صل على To begin with, I would like to offer my condolences on the end of month of Safar, where according to popular acceptance, it coincides with 3 anniversaries: the martyrdom of Imam Rida salawatullah salam alayhi, the martyrdom of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam, as well as the departure of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Because of limited time available, one could not address all 3 topics. Each topic requires huge amount of time by itself. So tonight I want to focus briefly on the life of the Holy Prophet. First, I must say this, that we don't have detailed historical event that covers the early part of the Holy Prophet's life. The natural disposition of the Jahiliyyah was not to record anything beyond major events. And the fact that we have that say he was born in Amul Fil, for example, which was the marker for historical recording in Jahiliyyah. People in Jahiliyyah did not write down historical events, particularly detailed historical events about one person or the other. Broadly speaking, there were certain events that would be the historical markers for everything that happened, that one could say before it or after it. If you look at books of history, they say Abu Talib was born 30 years before Amul Fil. The Holy Prophet was born on Amul Fil, and Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullah salam alayhi was born, say, 30 years after Amul Fil. This is how they recorded the events. So what we have regarding the early part or early life of the Holy Prophet is nothing more than anecdotal storytelling that, at least for Shia, we can corroborate it with Ahlul Bayt, a hadith from Ahlul Bayt, and say, okay, is this correct or is it's not correct? Unfortunately, when Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah began writing what we call seerah or tariq of a particular person, particularly the Holy Prophet, huge amount of what we call fabrication got into the tariq, particularly what we these days are known as Israeliyat, a hadith that are fabricated by individuals along the storytelling that exists in the Jewish tradition, that a huge number of them lived around the area. What we can say briefly, that he was born in Mecca, in the Arabian Peninsula, in the current era becomes around 570. And his father had passed away 6 months before his birth. And his mother, Amina bint Wahab, raised him as under the supervision of his grandfather Abdul Muttalib, who dealt with all the affairs of the family because he was the patriarch. As per tradition at that time, children at young age would be sent to live little bit in the desert environment and outside the city. So they would select some kind of milk mother that would foster the child to take them out and have fresh air literally outside Medina, outside the city. So the Holy Prophet was given to Halima, and he was raised with her family in the desert for, some people say, 5 years to 6 years, when he was 3 to 4 months old. Biographers of the Holy Prophet have attributed many supernatural events happening during the time that he was living in the desert. And from Halima, they say that Halima said, when her animals that could not give milk, they suddenly began producing milk. Trees that were dry suddenly began to give fruits. I would consider these, I wouldn't say that they are impossible, but I would say more towards mythical and mythology of the birth. Some of them even go to the extreme of saying that he began walking when he was 1 month old and began running when he was 4 months old, etc., etc. These are all extreme mythology that has been created around the story. Halima returns the Holy Prophet around the age of 5 or 6 to his mother to go back to Mecca. And immediately on a trip to Medina, his mother Amina takes him with her, and on the way back she gets ill and dies between Medina and Mecca, and she is buried over there. So literally around the age of 6, he loses both his father. He had already lost his father, he loses his mother as well. His grandfather Abdul Muttalib takes the responsibility, and when he is at the age of 8, Abdul Muttalib gets ill and dies, but before he dies, he gives the supervision or the responsibility of the life of the Holy Prophet to his younger uncle Abu Talib. So Abu Talib becomes responsible. He worked with his uncle Abu Talib. Some historians claim that as a shepherd for his sheep and animals. But later on, when he reached the age of 20, late teens and early 20, he began working with Abu Talib in his business trips to Sham and to Yemen. And he was part and parcel of that business arrangement. When he was around 25, he receives a proposal from an older woman, Khadija, who was successful in business, and the Holy Prophet actually worked for her one trip, at least one trip, supervising her business, and she realized that how trustworthy and he is, and he has unique business acumen, asked him to take responsibility of her business, and then proposed to him and got married. There are a number of other claims regarding the life of the departure of the Holy Prophet. Although it is considered 28th of Safar to be the date of the departure, or most Shias consider this to be some kind of a fact, but we have a hadith from Imam Jafar al-Sadiq, Imam Rida, and others that say the 2nd of Rabi'ul Awwal and possibly the 12th of Rabi'ul Awwal, based on the number of days between his sickness after Hajjatul Wada and the departure. So they put not necessarily on the 28th of Safar. Some people claim that he was martyred by or poisoned by his the infamous 2 of his wives, Aisha and Hafsa, but I have done some research beyond some extremes, claim I haven't been able to establish for fact that there is any evidence regarding that Aisha and Hafsa did actually poison him and kill him. I'm not so sure at this stage. But certainly the fact is that he departed around that end of Safar and early Rabi'ul Awwal. At the age of 40, he receives the first wahi and revelation, because it is part of his behavior to go to a cave outside Mecca for meditation and soul searching. During one of these meditations, Jibreel comes and the famous Iqra come, the first 5 ayahs come, and the beginning of 23 years period of what we call the revelation of the Holy Quran, gradual revelation, and the establishment of Islam, a faith that came to change the face of human history forever. These days, there are a number of scholars that they write about the most famous historical characters in the world, and Hart was one of those who wrote a book a couple of years ago. He considered the Holy Prophet to be number one, even before Jesus. And his claim was that no one in the history of humanity has been able to so dramatically and so profoundly change human history. And we still haven't fully seen the effect of Islam. And I believe if after the demise of the Holy Prophet, the issue of Saqifa wouldn't have happened, a general transition would have taken place, an orderly transition would have taken place from the death of the Holy Prophet into Imamah, proper Imamah. We would have seen much better development for Muslims that we have seen today. This amount, this much of the history of the Holy Prophet, we certainly can accept without shadow of a doubt. Anything else that you see in seerahs, and by the way, there are a huge number of books and articles written about the history of the Holy Prophet under the title Muhammad this, Muhammad that available. Both in the Sunni and Shia tradition and Muslim, non-Muslim tradition. They both have a huge number of books. Most of these books that are written within, say, the Sunni and Shia, they are a little bit polemical and sectarian because they all use different sources that the other person doesn't use, which leads to different conclusion regarding the character. But all of these books miss a couple of major things about the life of the Holy Prophet. While they all rely on what we call physical attributes of the Holy Prophet, the life of the Holy Prophet, from the beginning of the childhood and then going on, one thing which is absent within these books of history and seerah is the spirituality of the Holy Prophet. And without understanding the spirituality of the Holy Prophet, we will not understand the essence of Quran. Because according to a hadith that we have from Ahlul Bayt, they say that the Holy Prophet embodied, he was the spirit of the Quran, the talking spirit of the Holy Quran. So if we want to understand Quran, we really need to understand the Holy Prophet, but from a spiritual point of view. And this becomes critical for our time. Unfortunately, particularly in the West, when we look at people who no longer connect to, say, some kind of a sacred reality, they search for something that is spiritually fulfilling. And because nobody has taken responsibility of unpacking the spirituality of the Holy Prophet, the way Quran speaks of this spirituality, then people really have no conception of what the Holy Prophet is and what he did, etc., etc. There's a book regarding the Holy Prophet. It says, Muhammad, the Prophet that we need to know, revisit, and know again, because these aspects of spirituality is absent. And if we want to introduce the Holy Prophet to people around us, we should dispense with the idea that religion, Islam, as a set of belief and ritual, that if we were to observe them, we would secure salvation in the hereafter, the do's and the don'ts. We would do much better. This is how the Buddhists did it with regard to the spirituality of their faith. The Hindu are doing it with the same thing. The Zen movement, and even Christians and others, they focus on the spiritual aspect of the particular prophet. If we go to the Holy Quran, we see that Quran focuses on unique spiritual character of the Holy Prophet, rather than on the material and the physical reality of the Holy Prophet. Quran rejects the material life, but yet calls, first of all, considers the Holy Prophet to be uswa hasana, the best role model that we can imitate and in our life. By the way, the verse that says, in kuntum tuhibbun Allah fattabi'uni yuhibbukum Allah, ittiba' and following of the Holy Prophet does not mean simply paying lip service to certain aspects of his faith. It means developing a lifestyle and having a clear understanding of the lifestyle of the Holy Prophet and imitating it and copying it in our life, where Prophet comes into our life rather than simply pay lip service. Uswa hasana, the verse in the Holy Quran says that وَلَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. If you are searching for a role model to imitate and copy and follow, then you should stop with the Holy Prophet, because he provides, as al-insan al-kamil, the best example of humanity. He provides with the best example for everyone. Akhlaq, again, Quran, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Indeed, you have the most perfect or grand ethical and moral and akhlaq, principles of akhlaq. Ikhlas, how he purified his deeds for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he talked to other people, the gentle manner by which he talked to even the enemies. And this was somewhere that Quran says, فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. It's because of that gentle approach that you have towards people that attracts people towards you. Otherwise, if you had rough, hard-hearted, they would have been dispersed from you and they wouldn't have listened. There is a story about a woman that came to the Holy Prophet and he had questions, and she had questions. Once she finished, she said to the Holy Prophet, I have one objection, Ya Rasulullah. He said, what is it? He said, you behave you put yourself in the same level as the servant and others in your community. You don't give yourself the value as a prophet that you should have. And the Holy Prophet said, Ya Amatallah, ayyu abdin a'badu minni. Is there a servant that can serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better than I do? The notion of when people walked into the mosque, they couldn't distinguish the Holy Prophet from anybody else. For two reasons. Number one, he would sit with everybody else in a circle that the people could not recognize who was at the head of the table and who's not. And his clothing was such that probably worse or the same level as the poorest individual in the community. Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah salamu alayhi says about the simple lifestyle that the Holy Prophet led. لم يضع حجرا على حجر حتى مضى سبيله. He had no wealth. He didn't build any house for himself. لقد كان رسول الله يأكل على الأرض. He sit with everybody else on the floor. ويجلس جلسة العبد, the lowest level. ويخصف بيده نعله, mended his shoes. ويرقع بيده ثوبه. If his shirt needed to be mended, he would do it. ويركب الحمار على عاري ويردف خلفه أحد. There was no saddle on the donkey that he used. And not only that, if he found somebody on the way that is going his way, he would ask that person to ride with him. This is the manner, this is somebody that within a short period of time, after Fath al-Makkah in year 8, by the year 11 or 12, the entire Arabian Peninsula converted to Islam, yet his manner of behavior was such. Then another character of him that we can use to guide people towards the Holy Prophet, the love that he had for guiding people. And he used to become upset when he saw people rejecting the guidance that he wanted them to be on the right path. وَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ أَنْ لَا يَكُونُوا مُؤْمِنِينَ. You hurt yourself or you get hurt if they don't accept your guidance. On a personal basis, when we say that the issue of religion being faith is being reduced to some set of belief that we practice and that's it, the Holy Prophet, Quran talks about his waking up and some few individuals with him during the night and offering prayer. إن ربك يعلم أنك تقوم أدنى من ثلثي الليل ونصفه وثلثه. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that you and a small group of people, you wake up late at night, either 2/3 or nasf, which is half of it, or even 1/3 during the night to offer what? Supplication and prayers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And humbleness, humility, humbleness and is one of those characteristics. Quran says that we have sent the Holy Prophet as a source of blessing for everybody. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. The Holy Prophet structured a community in which, while they had a very hard stance against those who mushrikeen, but yet between the community, رُحَمَاءَ بَيْنَهُمْ, they were extremely gentle and compassionate towards themselves. لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِتُّمْ حَرِيصٌ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَءُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. He cares for the community. He cares for the well-being of the believers. He cared for how to deal with how to organize them. During you go to the Battle of Badr, to the Battle of Uhud, and other battles that he participated, you will see how he behaved towards those who were injured. He would go to visit them, take water with him. These are issues that we really need to focus upon when we talk about other people. The spiritual dimension of the Holy Prophet. And very few books or articles that focus on the spiritual dimension of the Holy Prophet. Purely seerah, tariq, and everything else, they speak about the usual lifestyle, akhbar about where did he go, whom did he visit, the battles, etc., etc. But what is the essence? Because until we understand the essence or the spiritual dimension of the Holy Prophet, we will not be able to understand the essence and the spiritual guidelines that Quran can provide for us. These are some of these aspects that we really need. And ikhlas. قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Everything that I have is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are something that we can practice in our daily life. The Holy Prophet's akhlaq, the Holy Prophet's moral and ethical principles, the Holy Prophet's humbleness, the Holy Prophet's dedication to community and love of those who are around us and respect for them. Naturally, we really need to spend some time and understand the history a little bit, but it's more, we should spend more time towards the spirituality. Unfortunately, the departure of the Holy Prophet, there is a verse in the Holy Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going, Amir al-Mu'mineen says this in Kalimat Qasar at the end of Nahj al-Balagha, that as long as the Holy Prophet, there were two sources that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so long as they were present, would not punish the community. Number one, the Holy Prophet, so long as he was present. And number two, if you do istighfar. Now the Holy Prophet is removed, is no longer there, so don't forget about the istighfar. So long as you do the istighfar, Allah would not punish you. And as I said, I was going to say, unfortunately, the departure of the Holy Prophet brought to the surface the nifaq, double standard, and hypocrisy that existed in undercurrent within the Muslim community during the life of the Holy Prophet, and we know what happened as a consequence. What his intention were to a gentle transformation of power to Amir al-Mu'mineen and for these individuals, Ahlul Bayt, to take control of society, never happened. And I believe we are still paying the price of that infamous act of Saqifa and the arrogance of Jahiliyyah that came to dictate. The Holy Prophet did his best, but and the event that took place turned the whole thing back into Jahiliyyah mindset. I'll stop here if we have any questions.